I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times.
Any comments on the alleged allegations of your connection with Jeffrey Epstein?
Bill Clinton is now again at the center of the hottest controversies today, and his reputation is now on the line with what will be revealed in the Epstein files. During a recent high-stakes exchange, Donald Trump reminded the world that Clinton flew to Jeffrey Epstein's private island 28 times.
You really think the Clintons are involved in Jeffrey Epstein's death? I have no idea. I know he was on his plane 27 times, and he said he was on the plane 4 times. But when they checked the plane log, Bill Clinton, who is a very good friend of Epstein, he was on the plane about 27 or 28 times. You know, why did he say 4 times? And then the question you have to ask is, did Bill Clinton go to the island? Because Epstein had an island that was not a good place as I understand it, and I was never there. So you have to ask, did Bill Clinton go to the island? That's the question. If you find that out, you're going to know a lot.
Claims that flight logs and guest registers now back up in chilling detail. Add to that his history-making affair with Monica Lewinsky.
I ran home at lunchtime and I put back on the sage green suit I had been wearing the day before when he paid attention to me. And I thought, well, maybe he'll notice me again. And notice me he did. He spent time sort of standing there and held my hand longer than he should have.
And what emerges is a portrait not of a statesman, but of a man whose private choices threaten to swallow his public legacy. As sealed invoices, sworn statements from Ghislaine Maxwell's interviews, and unredacted flight manifests begin to leak, we're about to see how deeply Clinton was entwined in a network built on secrecy and exploitation.
2 days ago, I turned 78, the oldest man in my family of 4 generations. And the only personal vanity I want to assert is I'm still younger than Donald Trump.
Clinton won the presidency in 1992 at just 46 years old, making him the first baby boomer to lead the nation. Those early months were rocky. He sent US troops into Somalia to capture a warlord, only to see 18 soldiers killed in the Black Hawk Down raid, and then ordered a quick pullout.
I have seen with my own eyes dead American soldiers being dragged through the streets of Mogadishu. There were at least 2 US helicopters confirmed shot down.
Back home, he and Hillary poured their energy into a massive 1,300-page healthcare plan. But its size and secrecy turned many lawmakers against it, and it never passed. Everything changed in April 1995, when domestic terrorists bombed the federal building in Oklahoma City.
The whole front of the federal building is gone, all floors to the roof. We need all fires, ambulances.
Clinton rushed to the scene, offering comfort to grieving families and vowing justice. That moment helped him rebuild trust and reset his agenda. After that, he reached across the aisle. He worked with Republicans on welfare reform, added rules to help people move from welfare into work, and loosened regulations on telecommunications and finance to help the economy grow. He even backed early internet protections, signing the Communication Decency Act to safeguard free speech online. Those choices paid off. The US entered one of its longest periods of peace and prosperity, ran budget surpluses, and paid down debt. Voters noticed, and in 1996, Clinton carried that success into a second term.
Nearly 30 years after an affair with the president forced a then 24-year-old woman into a spotlight of speculation and ridicule.
You know, over the years, I've watched her trying to get a normal life back again. But you got to decide how to define normal.
Clinton's approval was soaring thanks to a booming economy and rare bipartisan wins when the Lewinsky scandal exploded in early 1998. A 22-year-old intern named Monica Lewinsky accused the 49-year-old president of an Oval Office affair. Under oath, in the Paula Jones case, Clinton denied it.
I did not have
sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Only to see DNA on a blue dress force him to admit inappropriate intimate contact.
I did not volunteer information. Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong.
The House impeached him for perjury and obstruction of justice. And though the Senate acquitted him, his honesty was forever in question. While America gawked at every lurid detail, terrorists struck US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, and later the USS Cole in Yemen. Attacks that critics say deserved more of Clinton's attention. Lewinsky lost her privacy and career prospects, and the episode became the era's defining example of how a private lapse can upend a presidency. Now, with flight logs showing Clinton on Epstein's jet and island dozens of times, the Lewinsky fallout feels like a prelude. The same public that once forgave an intern affair may balk at evidence tying him to a convicted sex trafficker. The Epstein files promise to reopen old wounds and raise new questions about a president whose personal choices repeatedly overshadowed his policy achievements.
You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times.
Flew with Epstein
all the time.
26 times.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people, like, I haven't flown with my mom 26 times.
No, I haven't flown with anyone 26 times.
Yeah.
Any comments on the alleged allegation of your connection with Jeffrey Epstein?
Bill Clinton's ties to Jeffrey Epstein ran far deeper than a few social calls. In the late 1990s, Epstein maneuvered himself into the same philanthropic and political circles that supported global health initiatives, leading to his introduction to Clinton and senior members of the Clinton Foundation. What began as occasional attendance at charity events quickly escalated into private travel. Department of Justice flight logs, released under court order, show Clinton boarded Epstein's custom Boeing 727, nicknamed the Lolita Express, at least 26 times between 2001 and 2003. Those logs list Clinton not merely as a passenger, but as the primary invitee, often accompanied by top foundation aides. Destinations range from Lagos and Mumbai on humanitarian trips to Little St. James, Epstein's secluded island in the US Virgin Islands. There, registers record Clinton's arrival on 28 separate occasions. Weekend retreats ostensibly to discuss philanthropic work, but always marked by invoices for high-end catering, scuba gear rentals, and helicopter transfers, line items that far exceed what one would expect from a purely charitable mission. Despite repeated questions, Clinton's office has kept details murky. Public statements insist all travel was tied to Clinton Foundation business to raise awareness of AIDS treatment in Africa or to meet world leaders. But the nature of island hospitality survives only in fragments. A redacted calendar entry here, a faded guestbook signature there. Investigators and journalists have pored over those fragments, yet the full narrative remains hidden. Ghislaine Maxwell's 2 9-hour interviews with federal prosecutors, where she was asked about roughly 100 individuals who passed through Epstein's homes, are under strict seal. Epstein's staff ledgers and private diaries contain references to Bill C., but no accompanying notes. In July 2025, former President Donald Trump reignited the conversation. Speaking with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at Trump's Turnberry Resort, he contrasted his own outright refusal to visit Epstein's island. "I turned it down. I didn't want to go," with Clinton's willingness to fly there 28 times. Trump's administration also debated whether to unseal more of Epstein's files, including flight manifests and invoices, as part of broader press inquiries into the Justice Department's handling of the case. While critics accused Trump of deflecting from his own Epstein entanglements, his public invocation of those logs forced renewed scrutiny of why so many pages remain redacted. The most telling artifact may be the professionally bound birthday book Epstein assembled for his 50th birthday. Among handwritten notes from Leon Black, Vera Wang, and Mortimer Zuckerman sits a personal letter from Clinton. It's reassuring, isn't it, to have lasted as long across all the years of learning and knowing, adventures and illegible, and also to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. That the former president contributed such a warm, intimate message underscores the depth of their rapport and highlights the gap between official explanations and the private reality. As flight logs, guest registers, and invoices gradually emerge, each unredacted page promises to clarify what truly transpired on those secretive trips and why Clinton's connection to Epstein remains one of the most opaque and controversial chapters of his legacy. As more of Jeffrey Epstein's hidden archive is set to surface, the coming weeks could bring a trove of documents that reshape everything we thought we knew about Clinton's private world. Complete flight manifest for Epstein's Boeing 727, dubbed the Lolita Express, promised to reveal every passenger, every departure and landing, and the precise itinerary of those dozens of trips. Where so far we have only seen redacted logs showing Clinton's name beside international destinations, and those 28 island landings, unredacted manifests would nail down who traveled with him, whether any aides or foundation staff joined, and how often Epstein covered the costs versus billing Clinton's organization. Alongside the flight records, invoices and internal ledgers from Epstein's various properties could tell their own story. Catering bills already hint at five-figure charges for gourmet meals and luxury rentals of scuba gear and jet skis. But full financial records would show if Epstein picked up every expense or if Clinton's foundation ever reimbursed him. Detailed invoices could even uncover payments for security staff or private helicopter transfers. Expenses that far exceed what one might expect for routine charitable work. And that suggests a level of hospitality reserved for a close personal friend rather than a passing acquaintance. Perhaps most explosive will be witness statements from Ghislaine Maxwell's 2 marathon interviews with the Department of Justice. Granted limited immunity, Maxwell was pressed on roughly 100 individuals who passed through Epstein's circle. If her sealed transcripts mention Clinton by name, detailing dinner conversations, private tours of the island, or even casual remarks overheard by servants, it would provide first-hand insight into what social or business dealings took place behind closed doors. Civilians who worked on Epstein's flights and properties, now free to speak without fear of prosecution, could corroborate or contradict Maxwell's account, turning speculation into sworn testimony. Legal depositions in related civil suits offer another avenue for revelation. In Virginia, Giuffre's case against Maxwell and Epstein's estate, documents already cite multiple staffers who recall seeing junior aides and high-profile guests mingling on the island. If those depositions are released in full, they could include sworn descriptions of Clinton stepping off the jet, entering secluded villas, or attending gatherings of influential figures. Taken together with the Lewinsky affair, where a single blue dress and a handful of false statements under oath led to impeachment, these new files could paint a portrait of judgment so questionable that it outstrips past scandals. When you place the Lewinsky revelations alongside a potential sea of Epstein evidence, the damage multiplies. Lewinsky showed that Clinton was willing to risk his office for a private relationship. Epstein files may show he was equally willing to occupy private spaces built on trafficking and secrecy. One scandal led to a historic impeachment vote. The other threatens to link him, even if only by association, to the darkest corners of criminal enterprise. Together, they undercut the narrative of a pragmatic leader who learned from mistakes and bridged partisan divides. In the end, Clinton's story may be remembered less for balanced budgets and economic boom years than for the documents that emerge from Epstein's vaults. A president who once defined relevance by policy and bipartisan wins now finds relevance measured in flight logs, line item invoices, and sealed witness testimony. As the world waits for those files to be unredacted, his legacy hangs in the balance, not on the strength of his healthcare proposals or his welfare reforms, but on the contents of documents withheld for decades. History will judge whether Bill Clinton is best recalled for what he built in Washington or for what he hid on someone else's island. What do you think this means for his legacy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives like this.